All right. Ladies and gentlemen, students, colleagues, and friends, welcome to PolyU's Distinguished Speakers Series. Today we have another speaker here. So let me say a few words. You have seen the video, but let me say a few words to highlight, summarize what we do at PAIR. So total, we have 19 research institutes and also centers. So PAIR is university level focused research platform to facilitate knowledge innovation, interdisciplinary research, and also knowledge transfer as well as a national and international collaboration. So we're doing this by leveraging the research capacity and capability of PolyU here. And also we leverage on the world-class expertise of our scholars on campus. So overall, we are developing innovative technology to address various challenges we are facing these days, in the technology front. As you know, there's a geopolitical conflict, right, between the two countries, and plus, we are also facing a lot of social, environmental challenges, like, pollution, all those things. So we're developing innovative technology to address all these problems. Okay, so now let me our Vice President in Education, Professor Kwok Wang, to introduce today's speaker. Welcome.
So distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and students, good morning. It is my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker today, Professor Kwok Fai, and he's the director of Guangdong Hong Kong Macau Institute of CNS Regeneration at Jinan University in Guangzhou, China. Professor is an old friend of PolyU, and also he has been helping our PAIR, serving as a member of the PAIR International Advisory Committee since the start of the academy, and providing critical inputs and expertise for the strategic direction of PAIR's overall interdisciplinary programs. Professor is a pioneer in the field of neuroregeneration in visual system. He's the first to show long-distance regeneration of retinal nerve cells, the axons, in adult mammalians by peripheral nerve graft. His research interests span areas including neuroprotection, neuroregeneration of the mammalian optic nerve and spinal cord, exercise and health and brain health, the use of Woodbury, Goji, and retina protection. And his team has successfully identified factors for neuroprotections and regeneration. Over the years, Professor has leveraged both pharmaceutical and non-drug approaches to decipher the intricate science of brain and nervous system, generating over 500 papers and 46 patents. His dedication to the field is widely recognized. Professor is an elected member of many distinguished academies, including the Chinese Academy of Science, the US National Academy of Invention, the American Institute of Medical and Biological Engineering, and the Chinese Academy of Medical Science. The ability of nerve cells to regrow or repair themselves have profound implications for human health. And Professor's research not only shed light on the path for regenerating the nervous system, but also ways for improving psychiatric disorders, which he will share with us today. So without further ado, please join me to give a warm welcome to Professor. Okay.
It is a great honor for me to be invited to give this lecture. As Professor Wong said, I'm an old friend of PolyU and have witnessed the great progress of this excellent institute over the years. And I'm sure there are many good things to come under the leadership of Professor Wong, Professor ZHANG, and Professor Sylvia Chen, and also Professor Sum. So I would like to talk about a topic that is very dear to my heart, Unfortunately, my slide is in Chinese, but I would speak in English. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, I will sit down and talk, okay? So as we know, now we are facing an aging society with the rapid development of economy and highly competitive environment. So longevity is a good thing, but it's important to consider good health while we are aging. So my point is now we're not only very important to talk about therapy, but also talking about preventive medicine. So in that aspect, I will talk about three areas. One is exercise, light therapy, and also wolfberry, goji berry. Yeah. So as you know, our nervous system consists of peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. So the central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord, and also the optic nerve. So this is a real human brain. In the brain, there are two main types of cells. One is the nerve cells. The other one is the glial cells. So the number of nerve cells is tremendous. Yeah. So that is why we can function normally in terms of our activities in terms of motor, language, cognitive, etc. So this is in the field of brain science. So in the field of brain science, there's several areas that we need to understand the brain, try to find ways to protect the brain, and find ways to develop the brain. So in our country, in China, there is a brain project. Yeah, a very important project that provide a lot of funding to work on different aspects of brain science. So in brain science, people will use from molecular, cellular, and organ level to talk about the nervous system in terms of their anatomy and function. Yeah. So the task is to use the molecular approaches, cellular approach, and the systematic approach to know about the higher function of the brain, such as learning, memory, etc. Yeah. So this would help us to know about our nervous system more, and also in addition to prevent the disease of the nervous system. So if we look at a paper published in Lancet in 2017, they compare the problem of mental health comparing 1990 to 2016, and found out that the burden of this mental health increases because of the various reasons that I mentioned earlier. So what can we do? So my topic is to suggest various interventions. So the first one is exercise. So WHO over the many years ago already mentioned inactivity, that is not enough physical activity, is a risk factor to our health. So what kind of problem would we be facing? So you see, cancer, vascular and metabolic diseases, and also neurodegenerative diseases, which is something that I am very interested in. So if we look at another paper published in Lancet in 2018, they compare 1.2 million individuals between 2011 and 2015. So what do? They look at people who have done some sort of exercise comparing to those who have not, and found out that people who do exercise, their mental health is not as good as those that do mental exercise. Exercise, you see, is better than those that do not do exercise. So you may ask, what type of exercise? So you see many different types: popular sports, cycling, swimming, gym, walking, running. So any exercise would do. So then you may ask, why? So you see, our locomotive system is not only for motion. It is actually a very important endocrine system. So what do I mean by that? When we exercise, the muscle cells would release different types of factors. For example, neurotrophic factors. There's a very well-known neurotrophic factor known as the BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factors. This factor released from the muscle can go into the brain, and this would help protect the brain, help the plasticity of the brain. And not only the muscle cells would produce neurotrophic factor after exercise, it would also produce anti-inflammatory cytokines. And that is very important because many diseases are linked to inflammation. So if anti-inflammatory cytokines are released after exercise, it would help improve health of many organs of our body. And lastly, after exercise, the muscle cells would also produce hormone-like factors. This could help with metabolic diseases, including diabetics and all that. Yeah. So all these type of factors is given a name called the exercise factor. In Chinese, is 运动因子. So these factors not only release from the muscle cells after exercise, so this from muscle cells, the factors released is called the myokines. So it includes the FGF, 21, etc., etc. And then it can also be released from fat cells. And this group of cells is release factor is called the adipokines, including such as adipolectin. So all these are very important for the health of the individual. So let me spend a few minutes on adipolectins. So adipolectins is an important factor. The reason why I'm interested in it is because people with low level of adipolectin would increase the depression. And people with depression, if you look at their the adipolectin level in the blood, it decreases. And also people, depressed people who have depression and can be cured, then their adipolectin level would increase. So this is other people's work. So, of course, that is only a correlation. So with Sonata Yao, she works in PolyU now. We did this work by locking out the gene, adipolectin gene. So the hypothesis is if adipolectin is so important, and we lock out that gene, and we asked the animal to do exercise, the beneficial effect of exercise should not appear. And that is indeed the case. So we put a running wheel in the cage of the animal. So the animal has nothing to do in the cage. If you give them a running wheel, they would be very happy and they would run. So I have a question for you. You guessed how many kilometers would the mouse run every day? Sylvia, maybe. Not that many, but 6 kilometers. Do you do exercise? Do you run for 6 kilometers a day? No. So we have to learn from the mice, right? So when they do this exercise, the fatty cells would release the adiponectin, and then it would go into the blood. From there, it would go to the area of the brain called the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is an area of the brain that would produce new cells every day. So what do we need? Why do we need the new cells? Because every day we encounter new environments and we learn new things. So all these new cells are important for the function of our brain, for us to adapt to new situations. So the adiponectin would, so in mice with depression, the number of new cells produced would be decreased, and they would have the depressive behavior. So after exercise, then their depressive behavior would be corrected. And so what I'm saying now is, after exercise, that the adiponectin would go into the hippocampus, and then they would connect up with the receptor in the cells, and then this would, through a signaling pathway called the AMPK, and then this would increase the production of new cells. In neuroscience, it's called neurogenesis. With the production of these new cells, then there would be antidepressant effect. So we suggest that if we can increase the endogenous level of the adiponectin, then this could be one way to treat the depression. Yeah. And this work, as I said, is done by Sonata Yao, who is now a associate professor in the rehab science in PolyU, and also Andy, he is now working in Jinan University. And we are also interested in, after exercise, would it have any structural change to the brain? So with Zhang Li, we started working on this in animals. So what we do is we use a mice who has this transgene in the layer 5 cells in the cortex. So we can look at, so this is endogenous fluorescence. We can look at the dendrite of the cells. So we need to use confocal to do the imaging. In order for us to do that, we need to thin the skull of the animal, and then we do the imaging. So in this experiment, we use treadmill because we can control the time of exercise. And then we look at the cortex. So here, using the confocal imaging, you can see the dendrite of the layer 5 cells. and you see some protrusion coming out, right? What are those? Those are called the dendritic spines. Those are the area where nerve cells talk to each other. So by looking at the morphological changes of the dendritic spine, we can deduce the importance of the intervention. So by looking at this, you can see that the red one are the exercise group, the black one is the normal group. So there are more dendritic spine being born. And also the survival of the dendritic spine, the red curve, is longer. And then also we know this is linked to a signaling pathway, the mTOR pathway, because if we use rapamycin, it would take away the effect of the exercise. And also if we look at the nerve cells, a nerve cell has a cell body and then an axon. The axon, you see, would be surrounded by myelin. The myelin is very important for the function of the nerve cells because the myelin would increase the conduction velocity. And we find out that exercise can actually increase the level of myelination. So if we look at the control, the black thing is the myelin. This one is the after exercise. You see the myelination is much thicker. And we add the rapamycin, the thickness, increase in thickness would be gone. Yeah. So exercise can also improve the learning. So how do we show this? So we use a device called the rotor rod running. The rod would be turning all the time, and we put the animal on the rotor rod. The animal needs to adjust to the turning of the rod. And what we want to see is how long can the animal stay on the rod. So you see the blue curve is the normal animal. It will drop down very quickly. And the red curve is the animal that has been exercised before. So their learning ability is increased. So in fact, there's a study in the US that they asked the high school students to exercise before they learn a difficult subject. And the result is that if they exercise beforehand, they can learn the difficult subject easier than those who have not exercised before. And I think some of us would have this experience too. If you exercise, after exercise, you sit down and learn something, you find that you can learn it easier because you have the BDNF going into your brain to help you. Yeah. So in summary, this work, we show that the mTOR pathway is important. I didn't show you all the results. And then the exercise can improve the dendritic spine plasticity and the activity of the neuron. I have not shown you these results too. And also exercise can improve the myelination, and exercise can increase the learning and memory function. So those results are in animal. So you may ask, how about human? So in human, we use this type of exercise called the 拔段锦, qi gong. So we collaborate with the group in Hong Kong U. We study people with chronic fatigue. We did a randomized control trial, and we study 150 individuals. before they have not done the Qigong. And then we separate them into two groups. One would do the Qigong for 2 months, and then the control group. And then we look at the results in 2 time points. And we found out that the people who with chronic fatigue who did the Qigong, their depression level would be much lower comparing to the control group. And also, if we look at the depression, anxiety level, also the Qigong group is also much lower. And if we look at the level of adiponectin in the blood, the Qigong group is higher than the control group. So this study, we have looked at 150 individuals, 9 weeks of Qigong intervention, and we use different evaluation method, and we found out that indeed Qigong can, just like what I showed you before, can decrease the depression and anxiety level. So we suggest adiponectin could be an antidepressant biomarker. So this is done in collaboration with Professor Chen, Professor Hall and Dr. Chen in Hong Kong U, and also Leon in Jinan University. Okay, after talking about the effect of exercise, I'd like to share with you the effect of light therapy on improving our mental health. Our visual system, of course, the visual function is very important. I have a normal visual system so that I can see where you are sitting. And so this is called the 形象功能. But our visual system also has another function. It's called the non-visually function. If I see something, it may affect my emotion, okay? So many years ago, in animal, they have already done some study to show that if you deprive the light to animals, they would produce a depressive behavior. And if we look at the connection of the retina to the brain, it's a complicated pathway. It connects to many, many different areas of the brain. So if we look at such a nice view, this we normally are very happy. But in the Europe, particularly in winter, their daylight time is very short. So many individuals in Europe would develop depression, or they call this the seasonal depression. And how do they treat them? So they give them light therapy, and it works. So if we look at the paper published in JAMA Psychiatry, you see just taking the drug alone or taking the drug together with light therapy is better than just taking the drug alone. Yeah. And also, if you look at the bipolar disorder, the light therapy can drastically decrease the readmission rate of people with bipolar disorder. So light therapy works, but they do not know the neural pathway. So in Jinan, together with Ren Chaoren, we started doing this. And we follow the work of Wu Xiaolan in Hangzhou. She discovered that there is a nuclei in the nervous system called the LHB. LHB is lateral habenular nucleus. 中文是外支张核. And she showed that this nucleus is very important for depressive behavior in animal. So we started looking into this, and we work out the visual circuitry. 中文就是神经网路. So together with Ren Chaoran, we published this paper in Neuron, which is a very good journal in the field of neuroscience. So first of all, we found out that LHB, lateral habenular nucleus, has close connection with lateral geniculate nucleus. Lateral geniculate nucleus is the target area of the retinal ganglion cells. And then we found out later on that this is an M4 type of cells. Let me show you how we do this. First of all, you may ask me, how do we know that the animal has this depressive behavior? So what we do is we use this learned helplessness, 习得性无助. So what do we do is the first day we put the animal in a water tank for 15 minutes. The animal knows that they cannot come out. And the second day we put it in for 5 minutes and check out the behavior of the animal. If the animal shows the immobility behavior, the longer they show the immobility, the greater the depressive behavior. So this testing is being used by many drug companies to develop new drugs for antidepressant. And also, we can also use sucrose preference test. The way we test this is in the cage, we put in 2 bottles. One is the normal water, the other one is with sucrose solution. Normal animal would drink a lot of the sugar water, but depressed animal would not. And the last one, we do the open field test. Normal animal will spend a lot of time in the center of this open field, but depressed animal would not. Well, so by doing these several tests, we did the light therapy. So this is a complex line. So let me take you through it. First of all, we would develop the animal model of depression by giving the animal aversive stimulation, like electrical stimulation of the tail and etc. And then we give them light therapy, and then we do the behavioral testing. So this SPT is the sucrose preference test. So you see, maybe you may not be able to see it so well. So this is different intensity of light therapy. And we need to increase the light intensity to 3,000 lux before we can see effect of the light. And of course, in 5,000 lux and all that, we can see the differences. FST is the forced swimming test. Same is true, okay? And etc. And then in animal with depression, if we look at the neural activity in the lateral habenular nucleus, it will be abnormal. But after you treat them with light therapy, it will go back to the normal activity. And then the next thing we do is we wanted to know what type of retinal ganglion cells would be responsible for this. So this is a whole mount retina. We take out the retina and flatten it. And this is a diagram of the retina showing you the photoreceptor cells, and bipolar cells and the ganglion cells. So in the retina, there are over 30 different types of retinal ganglion cells. So we wanted to know which one is the most important retinal ganglion cells responsible for the light therapy. So we used all the modern technique, including using transgenic animals, and we use different tracing method of using virus and also fluorescence. And then I wouldn't go into the details because the paper is published. By doing all this, we can work out that the retinal ganglion cell contains, we call this the M4 type of melanopsin retinal ganglion cells. It contains melanopsin. So why so important? The melanopsin is like a photoreceptor cells. It doesn't require photoreceptor to receive the light. It has its ability to convert the light into electrical energy. And this type of cells also contains SMI32, and this is an on-type of retinal ganglion cells. So this is a whole mount retina of this animal. Each of this big dot is those M4 cells, important for the light therapy. And this is, in the center is the optic disc. These are the optic fibers. All the optic fiber will go into the optic disc and then form the optic nerve. So this is another study to show you that indeed, if we just activate this pathway from the dorsal lateral geniculate nucleus to the lateral habenana nucleus, we can decrease the abnormal activities in the lateral habenana nucleus. So I won't talk about this in detail. So in summary, the light would go through the retina, from there to the lateral geniculate nucleus, and then it would go to the lateral habenana nucleus, and this has the anti-depression effect. So it's important that we do go out and have some sunshine. Yeah, it's good for our emotion. Yeah. So our work attracted quite a bit of attention, and they would say that we can, by using light therapy, we can improve the mental health. So this is the summary of our work. We not only know the connections, we also can find out what type of ganglion cell is doing this. So in the retina, the type of ganglion cell is glutamatergic. It goes to the lateral geniculate nucleus, and then from there is the GABAergic neuron that will make the connection with the lateral habenana nucleus. So light therapy is not only good for mental health, it also has an effect on improving the spatial memory. So we published another paper in Neuron. The work is done by Xiaodan. I won't go into the detail of this work, but anyway, to summarize it, the light would go through the retina, go to the ventral geniculate, lateral geniculate nucleus, and then from there we go to a group of nerve cells called the reunion. And reunion, then we go to the hippocampus. we all know that the hippocampus is important for our memory. So this would improve the spatial memory. Yeah. So this is the way that we test the spatial memory, but I won't go into the detail now. And this work has also attracted many attention, saying that this would, to those with cognitive impairment would be useful. Okay. So this is the neural pathway. So those are all in animals. So how about in human? So in Jinan, together with Tou Xian, we have done this work in animal with subthreshold depression. Subthreshold depression meaning that they have not yet reached the level of depression, but they have some symptoms. So then we look at this in the university student and also in high school students. And then normally people with this problem, they normally do not want to take the psychiatric drug. Why? Because there's too much side effect. And if they want go through the 心理治疗, yeah, and it takes too long and too expensive. So we wonder whether light therapy is useful or not. So we did this RCT study in Guangzhou, university students, and we separate them into 3 groups, strong light, normal light, and then low intervention. Anyway, the result shows that indeed it is useful. With the strong light with 5,000 lux, there is a significant lowering of the depression level and also the anxiety level. Yeah. So we also have done some MRI, but I won't. But we developed this light box therapy, and we put it into the old folks' home. And they don't need to look at it directly. They just sit there and then do their readings. It seems to help them because they request that we put the light box there for longer period of time. Yeah. But for us, we don't, right? We just go out and have some sunshine and all that. So lastly, with the last few minutes, I'd like to talk to you about the effect of Goji polysaccharides. So first of all, we did this work in animal. Of course, we know depression has many causes, but one of it is inflammation. So I'm interested in this goji berry because it has good for the liver and good for the eye. And I'm just very curious to find out why it works. So although this is a single herb, it's a herb, but at the same time it's food. 藥食同源. So it's very safe. It's a single herb, but it contains many different components, including over 60 different types of polysaccharide. And we have isolated 5 polysaccharides, the most effective one. And then there is a product. And goji berry is used very often, most often because it's useful and effective. So we created this depressive animal model just like before. And the animal has exhibit depression behavior. And also if you look at their lateral habenana nucleus, abnormal firing, and also manifestation of inflammation because of activation of the microglia. If we give the animal LPGP, 枸杞糖肽 beforehand, low depression behavior, and also the abnormal behavior of the neuron decreases, and then the microglia activation would go away. Yeah. So I've shown you this already. So if we just look at this depression animal, so by they would, AS is the depressed animal, they would drink less sugar water. The immobility time is the forced swim test is much longer. But if they have taken the polysaccharides, then their drinking of sugar water is much more, and then the immobility time decreases. In other words, their depressive behavior goes away. And also, this is the abnormal cellular activities in the neuron, in the narrow hypothalamic nucleus. And after taking the polysaccharide, it goes back to normal. And if we look at the morphology of the microglial cell, this is normal one. In the depressive animal, the microglia is activated, but after taking the polysaccharide, it becomes normal again. So, so in this study, we have shown that taking the LBGP could lower the depression behavior and also improve the neuronal activities and lower the inflammation. So that's in animal. How about in human? So from other study, we know that young people now has a higher percentage of mental problem, 28.35, including depression, bipolar, and all that. Like what I said before, they normally would not want to take the normal psychiatric drug because of the side effect. So over the last several years, I want to develop this non-drug treatment. Like what I told you earlier, the exercise, the light therapy, and also this Goji polysaccharide. So we study these people with subthreshold depression. If they are not treated, they could develop into depression, and many of them would commit suicide. So this is the polysaccharide. So we did a clinical trial in young people, 12 to 18 years old, 28, separate into two groups. One group, we give them every day 300 milligrams of this polysaccharide, and the other group give them placebo, and then we follow them for 6 weeks. We evaluate them using a HAMD24. So in summary, it works. No side effect, and it helps to improve their cognitive impairment, also motor, and also helplessness. So if you look at the results separately, so this is the retardation. The red color is the people who taken the LBGP, and cognitive impairment is also improved, and also hopelessness is also improved. So we have done this trial, and we're currently doing multi-center clinical trial in 3 other hospitals. Hopefully by next year, we would have all the results. So we also wanted to find out why. So we taken the blood from these people at the start of the trial, and that at the end of 6 weeks. And then we look at the inflammatory factors. Then we found out that the polysaccharide can significantly lower the level of IL-17A. As you know, IL-17A is a very important inflammatory factors. And we do the network analysis. It shows that people who have taken the LBP is much better. And also we use the other analysis is the same. And we work with this company in Ningxia, and they have this product you can get in China, but now there is also a company in Hong Kong. You can also order this product from the Hong Kong company. Yeah. So this is Ning Kang Guang. He is my PhD student from Hong Kong U many years ago. He is now the chief of psychiatry in Guangzhou Brain Hospital. So in summary, we have done this work in Guangzhou, a randomized, double-blind, 12 to 18 years old, 29 suppressor people, 14 with placebo, 15 goji berry, 6 weeks, no side effect and useful, can improve the cognitive impairment, retardation, and auto helplessness. And it can lower the IL-17A. Yeah. So lastly, we eventually would like to combine these different treatment. We're in the process of doing that. And we also like to do multi-center clinical trials. So my suggestion is that we do exercise. If you don't, I think that's a good thing to do every day. I try to walk for at least 10,000 steps every day. Yeah. And also go out to have some sunshine, and if possible, take some goji berry. Okay, this is the end of my talk. Oh, Nature interviewed me couple years ago, and it's published. And if you're interested in some of the work, you can look at this publication. And also, I'm the chief editor for a journal called Neuroregeneration Research. And the impact factor is about 6. So we hope you guys can support this journal. And thanks very much for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me start by expressing our gratitude to Professor So for such an enlightening lecture, sharing with us innovative series of studies showing different aspects of lifestyle intervention like exercise, life therapy, and 搞给糖态. We actually received a number of questions from the registration, but I want to see here if you have any questions. This is Professor David Sum, our Dean of the Faculty of Health and Social Sciences.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Professor So, for a very interesting and very informative, lecture, and the results are very encouraging. Right? I mean, as a psychologist, I can't agree with you more that mental health problem is a significant issue, both in Hong Kong, China, and all parts of the world. So I think it's very interesting or very good to see that you're doing some very important research in using some sort of lifestyle intervention, which are more accessible with less side effects and so on. Right. So my question, I only got one quick question. My question is, in terms of your lifestyle intervention, how long would those effects last? Like, would they need boosters? And I'm very interested to see that you're combining them, for your research in the future. But I think, do they need booster? And then just, to see how long, I mean, exercise, you have to do it every day, right? But I think in terms of, other things, would they last for a long time or whether you need to repeat the dose? Thank you.
I think your question is very important. So we need to work out the dosage. Yeah, but I think my suggestion would be to do this regularly. Yeah, because it's not difficult to do, right? To do exercise and also to go out and have some sunshine. So maybe in the future, I can collaborate with Sylvia and do some work to work out the dosage.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Professor, I would like to ask a question about the goji berries. Now, the one that you're mentioning is focusing on the polysaccharides. So do you think that just generally consuming goji berry might also help the young people?
Cause what?
The general types of goji berries, not the one that you are talking about. Would that be also working, or we need to have a very concentrated polysaccharides fractions?
I think it's good to take goji berry in any form. So in the past, I used to take the dry goji berry, and now you also know that the juice, goji berry juice, is good. But the active ingredient is not enough. So I think it's easier to take this product, and it's very convenient. It's a pill. Yeah.
So my follow-up question, so if it's a polysaccharide, so you mentioned that you measure some of this inflammation markers that might be mediating the actions. Would that be also actually acting on the gut microbiome? Have you actually, in that study, measure gut microbiome of those young people?
we want to look at that. Maybe we can collaborate in the future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wang. More questions? Yes, Olivia.
Hello, Professor. I'm a PhD student from APSS. So thank you very much for your well-structured speech, which makes a student like me can easy to follow all the informations in the speech. So thank you. And here is a question about the light therapy. So it's very encouraging to see that the light can also help to decrease the depressive symptoms. My question is about the light from electronic device. So we all know that nowadays we use a lot of time, spending a lot of time working with laptop and also computer. And even for relaxation, we also use TV or cell phone for relaxation. So we will receive a lot of light from the screen in everyday life. So my question here is that what about the effect of the light from the electronic device to the depressive symptom? Do you think it's helpful or on the opposite? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think there are other people who have studied different types of light. So there has been some report showing that there are different wavelengths, right, from light. So the blue wavelength is not that good for our eyes, and we should try to contain the usage of electronic devices. And but I have not systematically looked into this issue, but it is an important issue. So when we do our experiments, we just limit the time for the people to do the light therapy for animal. But obviously, this is an important question for us to follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually have the same question during your lecture. Is it any type of light, or is it sunlight is better, natural light is better? Because for environmental concern, we were told to, reduce the screen, the light of the screen. But now you're saying, brighter would be better. So it's hard to balance.
So when we're talking about 3,000 lux, it's actually not that bright. 5,000 lux. If we go out to the sunshine, it's 20,000. Yeah. So of course, if the light is too bright, it's not good. Don't look at the sun directly, for example. But light therapy that we used the normal wavelength.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we don't require the individual to look directly into the light. Already it is effective. But anyway, the message is to go out, walk under the sun
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah.
It's good for your health. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. Hello there, Professor Su. Thank you so much for your wonderful sharing. We got loads of inspiration from it. And I'm one of the students who from guidance and counseling. And in your sharing, you mentioned phototherapy and to cure depression. Actually, this is totally different from what we learn in CPT or PCT. I'm really interested in it. So my question is, when could phototherapy be applied for the students, especially for the university students during the final weeks? Thank you.
I think you can do that anytime. Yeah, because it's very safe, very safe. And we have done some pilot study in Guangzhou, and it seems to improve the mental health of the students. Not only that, it seems to improve their grades, their marks. So I think it would be nice if you conduct a systematic study in PolyU. Okay. Thank
Yes,
you.
Professor Zhang.
Yeah.
Professor Su, thanks so much for the very informative and inspiring and thought-provoking talk. So in terms of therapy, there's another one, probably, everyone here, well, we use probably in some way, music, right? So after a long day, you kind of stressed out, listen to these classical music. It doesn't matter, it's Chinese or Western style. You always get some kind of soothing effect on the mood. So have you done any research along this line, or what's the state of art for this type of research, especially music in connection with the mental health, especially depression?
Oh, music is so important to our life. Yeah. I listen to Mozart every night. But I have not done any study on music therapy, although one of my postdoc is interested in studying the effect of Chinese music on emotion, but she only just started. But I think there are many other people who have looked into this. But my experience tells me that when I listen to music that I like, just like what you said, yeah, we relax and we enjoy good things in life. So I love going to concerts, and all those are beautiful things in life. So maybe you can start some work in this area.
Try to propose a project, with a collaboration with a group of people in mainland. But we're not funded. Okay, anyway, but personally, I'm interested. This could be even easier compared to light treatment.
Sure.
That's very effective. But music is, everyone has a cell phone, right? So it's even cheaper. You don't need to have a device to get light.
Sure. I agree.
Oh,
Yeah, Anchi.
hi. Thank you for the wonderful lectures. I'm going to ask some basic neuroscience questions. So when we study visual systems, we, particularly in the animal model, we are looking at mainly the spatial retinotopy from the retina to the thalamus as well as the cortical regions. Then today, the cells down here, I wonder whether the function of the cells that follow that spatial pathways that going from the retina, particular ganglia cells, and and to the visual cortex, then to the prefrontal thalamus and prefrontal cortex. Does it have this, spatial retinal topic maybe associated with it? And if so, that means that there's a specific pattern, even spatially, that relative to the therapy. And that's something I'm curious whether this is related or not.
Very interesting question. Of course, the visual system is really well organized in a topographic manner. Yeah. So the cells from the retina, one particular location will go to a particular location in the lateral geniculate nucleus, and from there it will go to a particular location in the visual cortex. Same is true for the projection from a particular location in the retina going to the midbrain called the superior colliculus. So your question is, can we work out the detailed connectivity of different parts of the retina? And what would that be reflected in the, for example, the light therapies that we do, etc. We have not looked into that, but I think that would be interesting to look at in the future. Yeah, so what do you have in mind?
I'm more thinking about those mappings, right? I used to do a lot of animal work as well, to looking at from mini auditory cortex, the cochleus, then moving on to the thalamus, right? Then going to midbrain to thalamus, then going to the cortical regions and so on. So we see this topological mappings for auditory system, but of course, visual cortex has a really nice retinal topic mapping, which I start to use a human model to do. But of course, we cannot answer anything at cellular level. Well, it's very interesting for me to know, actually, at cellular level, even ganglia cells in the retina, then whether this will be really, really going through a particular pathway and particular locations and mapping through. And pretty much the work you presented down here stop at pretty much visual cortex or thalamus. Well, projection onto a prefrontal cortex, particularly in the premotor cortex, that has very clear retinal topic mapping in that. Then I was very curious how that mechanism is related to the treatment of anxiety.
Yeah, I think I have not seriously thought about that, but after your questions, I think it would be interesting to look into this, because the visual system in mice and rats are quite different from monkey and human, right? So in monkey and human, they have this magnocellular pathway or parvocellular pathway. Some would be responsible for color vision and all that. So, so if we, so the question would be, would there be differential effect on these different pathways on the treatment that we do? Yeah, I think that would be interesting to look into.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, Professor. Thanks for your fantastic talk. I'm a color vision scientist, also working on long visual effects of light. My training taught me the traditional understanding of light therapy is actually from IPRGC's project to the PVN, then suprachiasmatic nucleus, and then control the pineal gland regarding the melatonin production. However, as your paper shown, actually light therapy's pathway is more fundamentally linked to LGN, which is what I understand as visual effect instead of long visual effect. Do you think these results you have presented is related to long visual effects, or the finding? Actually, people find the IPRGC has an opponency with S-COM pathway, so there's an interaction between visual and the non-visual effects.
Yes, I think already there is some other studies showing that what you suggest. but we have not looked into this in detail. Yeah, so this would be, what department are you working in?
Oh, sorry, but my training was a vision scientist.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, psychology.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that further.
Yeah, I also have done a pilot study with healthy population with light therapy in PolyU, and the results has already shown with light therapy, people have more exercise, the mood has increased, and there's also memory span effects for light therapy population. Yeah, so that's why I was very curious on how you conduct light therapy, what spectrum effects you are using, what type of spectrum you are targeting at. We can talk about later.
Yeah, oh, that's excellent. I think you should continue your work and get it published, okay? Yeah.
Thanks.
More questions?
Thank you, Professor So, for sharing your lectures. I'm a lecturer from School of Design. I'm just interested and curious about how body temperature or the temperature in general connected to your study. Would that be part of the solution or cure for the mental anxiety and depression? Because I see the connection between light exercise and Goji. Sometimes we have hot tea in Goji, right? So that all these three solution connected to the temperature of the body, somehow it increases the body temperature. So I just curious if in your study, have you measured or seen the connection between that? Thank you.
Very good questions. Yeah, so essentially what you are asking is whether body temperature affects our general emotional state, right? Something like that. So it would be interesting to look into this. So I mentioned about the nucleus called the lateral hypothalamic nucleus. Whether that nucleus has connection to the part of the brains that controls or process our bodily sensation. It's possible to look into that. Yeah. We know we have done some work, which I did not talk about, that light therapy also decreases pain sensation. Yeah, we have also published that. And more recently, we related that to itch is a type of sensation. But your question, I think is an important one and should be looked into. Maybe I would go back and talk to my collaborators and see how we can do something about your suggestions. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Yes, Professor Zhang.
So I wonder in your research if you have using any more relatively advanced like a single cell transcriptomic kind of profiling, because I see you use a lot of neural imaging by staining technology to see the activities and try to then you get the circuitry. So I wonder if you use a single cell profiling, you may be able to detect some subtype of neurons, and these are the new ones can be generated or differentiated in the process of healing. So I wonder if you have used this kind of technology in your research. Thank you.
Professor Zhang, thanks very much for your questions. Yeah. We have used single cell analysis but not in this project, in other projects. So I think your suggestion is very good. So whether there are, for example, the questions that we are actually quite interested in is to see whether there's a population of neurons in the lateral nucleus that are responsible for the different phenomenon that I described, right? And also whether in the lateral hypothalamic nucleus, there's subpopulation of neurons. It's very likely there would be. So we just need to look into that in further detail. Yeah, thank you.
Ellen has a question. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Sir, for your wonderful talk. I would like to follow up on this the light therapy part. We are now currently using the high contrast and high frequency visual stimulation to stimulate the visual, which is about 2 minutes, very strong flickering. And we found pretty strong effect on some vision enhancement, even in normally sighted people. So my question sometimes is that whether the improvement is actually on the retinal levels or on the cortical levels on that aspects. And we are moving into use this methodology to help people with vision impairment to stimulate their vision loss, for example, those with glaucoma patients to improve the peripheral vision. But this question was still thinking that which kind of measurements should we document or quantify the effect that is happening in the brain levels or in the retinal levels? I would like to see what you think about it. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you. I think it would be useful if we can have 7 Tesla imaging. The person sitting in front of you is an expert on this. Maybe she can tell us something about that. Yeah. 诗雨，你说几句吧。用 7 Tesla 怎么看这些现象在大脑里面啊？
Yeah, I am an associate professor at Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and we use 7 Tesla ultra high field fMRI to study the functional connectivity between, like the algae, as Professor So mentioned, between those subcortical regions and cortical areas. Yeah. So we think maybe the improvement is not just in like retinal or just in the cortical areas. It's something between the functional connectivity between them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Human. Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. Since there are a few minutes left, I want to read some questions from the registration. The first one is, what are the key secrets to maintaining mental health? Maybe you have covered some of those, and would you like to add more?
So I think in addition to the things I said, I think we should have a keep
Optimistic.
Yeah.
乐观,
and enjoy life. I think life has many beautiful things that we can enjoy. I think that's very important.
Okay, and then the second one is, what are effective ways to combat anxiety disorders?
Can you repeat that?
Oh, sorry. What are effective ways to combat or fight against anxiety disorders? Because the abstract covers mostly anxiety, but your talk has different intervention to deal with depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders.
So I think exercise is very useful. Very useful. Yeah.
2 more. The third one is, what is the most important thing for keeping mental stability, especially for those who were overloaded by information? You know, we have lots of information overload these days, and how can we deal with all these?
Yeah, I think in addition to what I've already talked about, I think we keep a optimistic viewpoint. Enjoy what you want to do, like listen to good music, yeah, and do things that you enjoy. I think that's very important to maintain your mental health.
Yeah, such as research, do more research, and maybe we can improve our mental health. And then the last one, how to face the overload pressure during the doctoral study. What are the right guidelines to take to deal with negative emotion? I think this is from a student. You know, they need guidelines for dealing with negative emotions, and also, you know, how to deal with dissertation and final week exam, etc.
Okay, I want to share my experience. So I did my PhD at MIT, right? To do a PhD, you need to do your what do you call this? First year comprehensive exam. I still remember vividly. I live in Boston, and in the living room, I have a desk, and on the floor are all papers surrounded me, all of them. And at that point, I said to myself, maybe I should be a farmer instead of a scientist. But anyway, I obviously did not. I overcome that because I think it's very important to focus on your target. The reason why you want to do PhD is to be a good scientist, to do something that you like in your life, something you can contribute to the knowledge of science, something you can contribute to help people with their problem and all that. So if you keep those concepts in mind, it gives you strength to move on. So that would be my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insights. These scientific evidence is very important and give us implications, especially these interventions are accessible. It's in your life, so you can do something in your life to work on it. You know, we often emphasize if you encounter emotional problems, seek professional help. But then professional help is costly and sometimes not immediately accessible. But then you can start by working on your life, on your lifestyle. These are very important. Thank you so much. And then lastly, the Easter holiday is coming. So instead of lying on your bed to watch TV, I think you can get some insights from today's talk, go out, enjoy sunshine, and then exercise and take supplements, take care of your nutrition. I think supplements is more concentrated than the extract. Yeah. Okay. So please join me in thanking Professor Shou again.
Before we conclude this session, I'd like to invite you to give another round of warm applause to Professor Shou. All right. Hope this session is informative, useful. Okay. It's not too scientific, right? Talk about a lot of exercise everyone can do. So keep tuned. We have more activities like this, and I hope to see you next round. All right. So.